Good morning. Um, I'm going to read chapter 7 today, and you'll see when I say the title, you're going to be like, oh, I know what it is. It's called Pretty in Pink. Here we go. Mari flinched, her whole body tense. Russell watched as she raised her chin and stared up towards the sky, alert like a cat. You hear that sound? Russell could hear lots of sounds all running together. He listened closer. He didn't hear anything, like when the green team had been tracking them. It's the squirrel cuckoo, Mari said. The same call again and again. She flashed an unexpected smile at Russell and moved towards the sound. She tilted her head to the side as if her ear were leading the way. I bet that's not a real bird, she mumbled. I haven't seen any squirrel cuckoos around. It's Sage and Deb using the bird calls, taking turns. Russell followed Mari, stunned that she could tease the laughing squawk of the squirrel cuckoo out of the constant chorus of the forest. Before long, they stepped into a small clearing. Russell recognized it at once. I saw this, he said almost in a daze, from the zip line. At the clearing center was a stone monument covered in ancient carvings. It was evidence of the old civilizations of the Amazon. Russell stopped and stared. He knew that people lived in the rainforest, but they had not seen any signs of them. Now, looking at the monument, Russell realized that it was in the shape of a tree, the same kind of tree where he and Mari had hidden from the green team. Russell, come on, Mari said from the far side of the clearing. If you saw this from the zip line, then we're really close. And you might recall, she added in a tone not unlike Sage's, this is a race. When they finally found their way to the river, the smiles of Javier, Sage, and Deb lifted their spirits. Their teammates were thrilled to learn that the green team was not that far ahead. That is awesome, Sage said as they all took seats in the boat. They haven't come back to the dock yet, so we might even be in the lead. We just have to answer the clue. So Deb unclipped the end cam from his utility belt and read it again. I figure the last two lines about not seeing your dinner, if you can hear, could be about echolocation. Deb said, using, sonar. Lots of animals can make a sound and then visualize things based on the sound waves that echo back to them. Yeah, like bats, said Sage. And dolphins, Russell added. That's it, Mari yelled. The Amazon River dolphin. I couldn't come up with it before. It uses echolocation, and in really murky water, the dolphin is pink. But it's gray when the water's clear. It has to do with their skin getting, more sun or something. That's awesome. So we have to find the river dolphin now. I assume in the river, Sage said. The question was directed at Mari, but everyone smirked. Yes, Mari answered, still trying not to laugh. During the rainy season, they'd venture into the streams and the flooded areas, but they'd be in the river now. So do we all agree to go downriver? Javier asked. They agreed. All right, sir, let's go, Javier said, pointing. The captain nodded. Anchors away, he said with a smile, even though the motorboat didn't have an anchor. After a few moments, Sage whispered, should we ask if we can go faster? Yeah, probably have a better chance of seeing the dolphin if we aren't going too fast, though, Mari said. Even then, it'll take some luck. The team went silent. Fish? The captain said. No, Sage shook her head. We need a dolphin. No, fish, he repeated. Russell looked toward the captain and noticed that he was pointing to a bucket of fish. You have to fish, Russell yelled out. We can use them to lure a dolphin, Russell said. Thank you. He grabbed the bucket with both hands. The captain smiled, his eyes bright like the sun on water. Javier spoke with the captain and confirmed that it was a good location for tracking down dolphins. He said there is a dock close by where the tourists even swim with them. It took only a few minutes of throwing in fish and peering into the cloudy water before a pale pink beak poked out. The dolphin turned to look at the boat. Quick, Deb, Russell said. Sage threw a fish in it. A fish in the air. And then the dolphin snapped its long, skinny jaws shut. Got it, Deb cried. They have a brain capacity 40% larger than humans, Mari said, almost absent-mindedly. Russell looked at the dolphin again. Its pink head freckled with gray, its tiny round eyes, an open grin. He thought how amazing it would be to swim with them. And for a moment, he wished that this wasn't a race. Okay, I've got the next clue, Deb said. Pass where the waters meet, then you'll find flags that greet. Follow the path marked for you and learn the Amazon's final clue. That's horrible, Dev said. My little brother can rhyme better than that. I believe you, Sage responded, but let's just make a decision. Do we keep going downstream? The team nodded. All right, hang on, the captain said, shifting the tiller. The motor strained, and the boat pitched forward. It wasn't long before the sound of the motor was drowned out. Russell turned to see the larger boat approaching, its nose lifted high. The boat revved by, the noisy motor churning up the waves. Russell gripped the side of the smaller boat as it lurched into the rough water. The word that came to his mind was rude. No way, Russell heard Dev cry, his voice carried over the thrum of the engines. How did they get that boat? Sage asked. Russell didn't want to look. When he did, he saw what he already knew. It was the green team. I don't know, Javier answered, shaking his head. Maybe that boat showed up after we left. It definitely wasn't one of the ones at the dock. Russell watched as the other boat disappeared around one of the Amazon's many turns. It was clear that the red team's tiny boat was already going at top speed. The only thing to do was to watch and wait. Except that Russell didn't have something to do. Trying not to be obvious, he examined his backpack. He had wanted to do this ever since the green team showed up with a giant tree. He soon found what he was looking for. It was like a merit badge, a fabric patch with a 4-leaf clover on it. It was stuck in there with some kind of glue. It blended into the backpack's original design. When he ripped off the patch, he found a tiny chip underneath. Now he had proof. His friends had been tracking him. Dallas had probably snagged some kind of GPS device from his mom's office. No wonder the green team had gone upstream and found the capybara. Russell's gut nodded when he realized that they were still tracking him. They must have noticed that the red team's boat had stopped in the river long enough to snap a photo of a friendly Amazon river dolphin. Russell would bet anything that the green team had followed them into that point, stopped their big motorboat, and photographed the same one. At first, Russell was going to just drop the chip into the river. He wanted to be rid of it. And then he thought again. It wasn't safe to drop an electric device into the water. I mean, what if the fish ate it? So he pocketed the chip. He decided what to do later on. He glanced over at Javier, whose expression was as serious as his teammates. Javier seemed to realize Russell was watching him. I don't know how they got that faster boat, he said. Russell shrugged. It's always something, he offered. Russell had heard his dad say that tons of times. Russell had heard his dad say that tons of times when another team had made a good play. It was Dad's way of reminding him that nothing's ever easy, but you have to keep trying. Oh, I love that quote. Nothing's ever easy, but you have to keep trying. I'm going to write that one down. Russell had to remind himself of that now. Hey, Javier, Russell said, trying to think of something else. I saw some kind of a stone monument from the zip line. It was all carved. It looked like people made it a long time ago. I know, Javier said. It's a symbol for the Kapok, or the world tree. The people of this region believe that the tree is sacred. It reaches up to the heavens with its limbs, and then down into the earth with its roots. The Kapok tree represents how all life is connected. Russell nodded, his hand still resting on the chip in his pocket. He liked that idea. What is that? Dev yelled, loud enough for everyone to hear. Sorry, I'm going to read that the way Dev said it. What is that? Dev yelled, loud enough for everyone to hear. Russell looked toward the middle of the river where Dev was staring. Dev put his hand on Mari's shoulder for balance and stood up. The water is a totally different color, he said. Dev, that's it. I know why the river changes color like that, Sage exclaimed. This is where the waters meet. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen with you guys for just a quick second because I want you to see what I'm seeing. I'm going to bring this book back up. Here we go. This is life in the forest. Today, hundreds of thousands of people live in the rainforest. There are 400 tribes and the people that speak at least 180 different languages. Some of these follow the traditional customs that are hundreds of years old. They make their own tools, hunt and gather in the forest, and carve canoes from the giant kapok tree. But the influence of the outside world has changed life in many villages. Archaeologists have found evidence that there were once many well-organized civilizations in the Amazon that were far larger than those of today. There were up to 7 million people making their life in the rainforest around 500 years ago. However, when explorers arrived from overseas in the 1500s, they brought diseases with them. And many of these diseases, like smallpox, were foreign to the Amazonian people, and great numbers of them died. The people who live in the rainforest today are still resourceful. They know which plants to eat, which to use as medicine, and which to avoid because they are poisonous or not tasty. For hundreds of years, they have sustained their lives and the livelihood of the forest. So that's in chapter 7. We might be doing a little bit of this in class as a read aloud because there's only 2 chapters left. Okay, have a great day, you guys.